Oh, man. Big
So, right out the gate, what's funny is like, I just left from basketball practice with my boys, right? And I just got through talking to somebody who we both know. And he knows the both of us. He told me, I said, man, I got to get over here and go to Booker T. He said, for what? I said, man, I got Haleigh, on the podcast today. He said, tell her, right? He said, I'm always put the ball in Magic Johnson's hands when the game on the line.
I already know. I already know who that is.
Oh, yeah. Old Carter, man.
Old Carter.
Yes, right. But when did the ball start bouncing for you? That's what I need to know. And
So
I'm not talking about organized. Just first time you got introduced.
it had to be, maybe I'll give it about third grade. I think I started out. I actually followed Jordan, little
Really?
big bro. Yeah. So I
Okay.
think anything that he was in, I was in. I think he probably started out kicking a soccer ball, and I did it.
And you older
And
than
then
him.
yeah, 18 months, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, he started kicking the soccer ball. I started kicking the soccer ball, and then my dad bought us a basketball goal, and I really think that was destined for my dad to do that a long time ago because he was a Bulls fan and
Yeah.
all the MJ stuff. But then Jordan picked it up, and I picked it up right after him. So
Uh-huh.
probably third grade.
Was it, well, you said kicking the soccer ball first. Was that the first sport that you really were like, all right, I'm locking in? Basketball, or was it ever something else besides that?
It was always basketball. I did.
Respect.
Everyone asked me like, "Did you do like track or something, or track or volleyball?" I'm like, "Nah." It was always basketball for me.
All hoops.
Yeah, all hoops. I tried track, and that was a fail. So
Oh.
nah.
At what age, though? I got to hit this chapter.
So it's crazy. So I was at Carver. I
Mhm.
think it was probably 7th or 8th grade, and one of the girls that was the first leg ended up quitting. And so basketball coach at the time, Coach Potts, she was like, "Haleigh, just give it a try. It's not that hard. It's like you run up down the court."
Mhm.
Man, I must have got smoked like crazy. That first leg, I was like, "Oh, no, this ain't for me." Like I was out, in the front. But then
You did what you could do.
you gotta kind of make that turn, and it was wraps from that on.
So you basically just said, hey, did you go to him like, Coach, I'm cool, or you just stopped showing up?
It was just a one-time thing. Because
Oh,
I don't know
cool.
if she was ineligible or what the case was, and they just needed me for one time. We still won because our third and fourth leg was legit.
You cleaned your mess up.
They cleaned me up, So I was good.
I feel that. Now, when it comes to basketball, I'm interested in knowing, because like anybody who's talented like you are, I'm gonna say are. I'm gonna assume you still got some more gas in the tank, right?
Oh yeah, it's still in there.
There you go. Good. Now, were you good early in basketball? Or did it take a minute? Okay.
So for me, I think I really didn't have to put the work in. A lot of stuff was God given, and so I give all glory to God, and that stuff just naturally came to me. So I think at a young age, people had to kind of polish and clean me up and get those skills together. But I think I always had that kind of grind and grit to me.
Was the confidence there too?
Yeah. It was kind of it came and went because I would say I was very competitive, especially with Jordan.
Right.
And so it started there, him just being great at everything. And then my dad like, "Hey, Haleigh, look at Jordan make this layup. Now you got to come and do it." Because for me, like when I started, I finally got going in the 4th grade on the team my dad had. And when that got going, I wouldn't do a layup. I always do a pull-up jumper. And he would get hot. Make or miss. He would get hot. And so
You turn the layup down.
I turn the layup down. Little pull-up on the block. Like
Yeah.
I just couldn't get with the whole layup thing. And so, it was crazy. But I would say.
So I'm guessing, did he pitch y'all against each other a lot?
I think it was more so Jordan. I would say that it was the younger bro getting on, big sis's nerves and always trying to pick at me and stuff like that. But I probably would say, yeah.
So the one-on-ones though.
One-on-ones was crucial.
Yeah.
And let us not put the goal down to 8 or something. We were trying to
Oh.
dunk and do all that kind of crazy stuff. But we loved a good one-on-one. Very competitive.
That's interesting to me because you know how early in life y'all physically take off a little bit sooner than the boys do.
Right.
And so it's like you said about 18 months between the two of you. So y'all are the same size early in life, right?
Yeah,
I bet
same. It was crazy. It was crazy. I was just more of a stick. I was real bony and skinny, and Jordan was kind of a little stocky, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. He probably hate me for saying that, but that's really what it was. And he would just body me and stuff like that. But it made me tougher for sure.
Were y'all always close?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I got a soft spot for siblings, like being close to one
Yeah.
another. I think that's dope. Because when it's
for
all
sure.
said and done, I mean, hey, them friends come and go, but hey, old goofy big head brother of yours, he
Hey,
gonna be there.
and you know him. Yeah.
I do. So, in coming out of middle school, because I'm a Carver product, like you just said you were.
Yep.
Now you coming over here to Booker T, right?
Woo.
Yeah. Talk about the adjustment from, okay, middle school level, now I'm in high school. Can you think of a moment where you was like, okay, this is different?
Yeah. Okay. So when I think back of Carver, we had a dope team. Like we were cold. We had Tia, we had Frankie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was real competitive too. I think back then in middle school, it was kind of widespread. So like Monroe was cold.
Yeah.
You had Bird that was off the chain. You know what I mean? And all these other Lewis and Clark.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Those places, they was just cold. And so then when you get to Booker T, and even as an 8th grader, my thing was looking up to Heather Wimberly.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, this girl is a senior. Like, that's just the aha moment. I want to get there and do that. Or who else was it? I think even my freshman year coming in, it was Sonia Greenlee. You know what I mean? And Brittany Clark, and then all this stuff. And so just making that transition, I think I was more eager to put on the jersey and just say, hey, I seen what these successful women have done ahead of me. I kind of want to keep that tradition.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't a walk in the park. I had seniors that looked like I'm this little skinny freshman, and these seniors look like grown women.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? It's like a whole new different transition to it. But it was pretty hard. But I think I really did have some good leadership that kind of molded me and pushed me in the right direction.
I think that's a hidden gem right there, because I'm not sure if everybody does their due diligence like as a big dog or as an OG.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You got to give it back and bring
Absolutely.
it through. So you dropped these names a while ago. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. But did you know, were you watching high school basketball before you got to high school to where you knew who was who?
Yes, only because our head coach, Coach Potts, she was Coach K's assistant. Mm-hmm. And so she would kind of bring us into those practice atmospheres. She would kind of bring us into games. And so I already knew ahead of time who those really star players were that kind of wanted to model my game after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So did you get some action as a freshman on varsity?
Woo, freshman year was tough.
Yeah.
I tell you this, I think I kind of came into it more timid because I kind of took on the approach like if other people are getting the job done, I really don't need to show out. Like, I can kind of just blend in. And that was something that my dad would scream at me about. Like, hey, let's just show what you can do. Show what you can do. But I think as a freshman, what was super hard, like I was killing on the freshman team. I was killing it on JV. And I had, Tia, who was just she was just the bar. You know what I mean? Of a freshman at that time. And she was just getting all the work done. I would say she probably got the most varsity time out of us freshmen, me, her, and Frankie, and it was Frankie right after, fighting and scrapping for those minutes, because my position, I'm the shooter, I'm that 2-3 spot, and they already got seniors in that spot, so it's kind of harder for me to chase as opposed to Frankie running a little bit of 1 or Tia filling in 3, 4, 5 wherever she could, and so I kind of fell on that 3rd tier.
Right.
But it made the grind so much sweeter though, for sure.
It sounds like you sort of knew, you had enough perspective even at that time to know, okay, this is the landscape. Here's a lane that I can sort of carve out for myself. But did your coaches ever sit you down and let you know, hey, this is what we need from you, to where you were clear on what your role should have been or could have been?
Honestly, yes and no.
All
so, for me, deep down, I knew that I was probably better than some of those players playing ahead of me, but I was going to take the back seat and just kind of wait my turn, as opposed to my dad is like, you got to go ahead and take what you want. You got to go ahead and get it and compete for it.
Right.
And it's not like I wasn't making the practices competitive, but it was just like, okay, I'm a freshman, they seen, that's just what the ticket is. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I had conversations with Coach K. She had it very structured and laid down the law in a way that was just like, okay, these are things that I need you to do, and when you do these things, you can go in and take this spot.
Ooh.
And so
you follow the blueprint?
I followed the blueprint.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So from the beginning of your freshman season toward the end, did it look any different in terms of your playing time or your depth, where you are on the depth chart, rather?
Yes and no. So I think in the beginning, that's when you start doing those summer camps and summer scrimmages and stuff like that. I'll never forget. We played at the Victory summer camp, and I had to guard one of their best players. I don't know if you know her, Hannah Spanish. And she ended up going to Illinois State, I think, is where she ended up playing. But I know it was my job to guard her, and she gave me buckets.
Ooh.
I was just like, okay, freshman coming in. Yeah. I was thinking, okay, seniors, y'all going to take this, or you going to make, you know what I mean? You going to make me. That's what I'm saying. And so that kind of molded what grit and grind looked like, because I know day in and day out, I was going to be competing, and the seniors were going to make me better. But at the same time, it was just kind of hold on, no, that's my wake up call.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it was a big difference. It kind of fell short a little bit just simply because as it got to crunch time and we started, trying to make our way through state and stuff like that, I felt like I should have been playing, and so my confidence kind of lagged a little bit. And so it was kind of like my skills are growing and stuff like that, but my confidence was depleting at the same time. So
that is kind of weird. Was your ego in check though, or was it that getting away from you? Is that what that was at the end?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was getting away. Yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with that though, because it's like it's better to have it than not have none. That's a different type.
Oh, absolutely.
So rolling into your sophomore season.
Woo!
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Big season. Yeah. I knew it was going to be a difference and a change maker because I knew the freshmen that were coming in. Like one of my best friends to this day, Taleah.
Yeah.
I knew she was coming in. I knew it was going to be hard though because at the same time, Tia was leaving.
True.
Holly was leaving.
Jinx, right?
Yeah, Tia goes to Jinx. Holly leaves and goes to Sapulpa.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, like if those two would have stayed and add Frankie as well, and then we got Christiana, Isis, Taleah coming in, Raven coming through. I'm like, we could probably win state the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. Or whatever. So they leave and I'm like, okay, changing perspective. I'm kind of like the big dog now. Like I got to show Taleah and Christiana and Isis the way to go. And so I'm like, we're going to be cold. Like,
and you calling yourself a big dog, and this is year 2.
Year 2.
So this is based on experience.
Based on experience right now, because I'm really the only one left that was getting like major minutes now. So you take those seniors out the picture, you take Holly leaving, you take Tia leaving, and Frankie. Now it's me in that position that has the most varsity experience.
So what was your leadership style? Were you a vocalist, or were you just keep your head down, lead by example type?
Both.
Really? That's a gem right there.
Yeah.
We need more of these.
We need a lot more of those, but I really salute because even Taleah coming in as a freshman, she led. You know what I mean? Like it was everybody knew she was good, but it was the same time like she's going to let her game speak for itself. And even as, I was a sophomore, I still had a really good senior class ahead of me with Natalie Melendez and Sharice Woods. You know what I mean? And then under that, Ashley Love and Jaleesa Walker. So like all those things, I still kind of had that good core group, but at the same time, it was just like, I don't know. Like we gotta run with this because we got something special here.
All right. So I'm gonna be messy, but comparing that team your sophomore year to the team your freshman year, how y'all stack up?
Hey,
I know it's a difference in personnel, but
because
sometimes less can be more. That's what made me ask that.
I'll take my sophomore year team.
Okay.
Just simply because I think, like, I can even confidently say this, and I've had some pretty good point guards, but Taleah was probably the best point guard that I've ever played with. And so that right there is a difference maker and a change maker in that. And I think with the friendship that we had and all those other girls, I think the closeness is what brought us so much success.
Yeah. See, I'm going to keep throwing this around. Every time we got one of the ladies on the pod, I'm going to throw this out there. Because, see, I was talking to Coach Redmond out of Union a couple weeks ago. And I was speaking from Coach Hodges, who's the girls' coach at Moore. And he said, I asked him to compare coaching boys to coaching girls. And he said he thinks boys have to battle before they can bond, but girls got to bond before they can battle. And I was like, I thought that was legendary. Any truth to that?
I absolutely agree.
Okay.
I think about that from experience from playing on different levels, whether it's AAU to high school, middle school, college. And then I think about when I was coaching those levels as well.
Yeah.
So coaching, Carver High School at Booker T, and then I get to Fort Smith. Like all that, like girls, it's just natural. We have to bond. It might be some hidden ones in there that's like, no, you got to fight for me to show you. But I think legit girls gotta bond first before they go to war.
I think this is a fundamental difference between us. Just
right.
No better, no worse. Just different.
Right.
All right. So I know how y'all finished your senior year, right?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. Your sophomore year, how did y'all finish?
Oh my gosh, we lost to Edmond Santa Fe. I think we got smacked.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Didn't even compete?
No, like I just don't know what it was. I just remember like and we did have, let me just go ahead and shout them out. Natalie Melendez, great leader. We had that, she had that swag that like, Haleigh, you better get your stuff together right now because we need you. And that was something that I needed, and I don't think the class my freshman year had that in it. It was just more like, okay, we'll show you the way and show you the ropes, but she had this level of expectation and this demand that she needed from me that kind of like pulled us all together. And so that was super huge. But we got smacked by Edmond Santa Fe. I don't remember the score. A lot of losses, I take them to heart a lot of times, and I just forget about them, but they still hurt. You know what I mean?
Did y'all get to state, though? Y'all got to state tournament that
year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you said it like, it's a no-brainer. Of course we got there.
Oh, yeah.
So rolling into that off season, right? How much motivation is needed to really get back to work when you get to the dance, right?
Yeah.
Which means anything can happen.
I think for us, it was always you taste and you see and you want more of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just not like, oh, we've been there before, so it's all cool. Like we all had that fire in us, that dog mentality. I know Coach Rod likes to call it a lion, I think, or something like that.
That's
but
exactly
I'm like, hey, that dog, that lion is something, riled up on the inside of us, and it's just like, no, we know we can be better, and we've already tasted it. Let's see what happens from it.
Junior year.
Ooh, junior year. Who did we lose to? I can't remember who we lost to junior year, but I remember a lot of crazy and fun games. I remember we went to the Westmore tournament. It was probably one of the worst losses that we ever had. It was either Westmore or Duncan tournament. We went to a lot of them and ended up losing to a team we had no business losing to. Coach K rips us up.
Yeah.
And it's like, y'all must have stayed up all night. And then one of the seniors at the time was like, yeah, Coach K, I'm not going to even lie. Like, stood up on behalf of the team in the locker room. Like, she is grilling us and ripping us. And was like, I was up all night getting my hair braided.
Ooh.
And she let us have it the next day in practice.
Yeah.
The day after that.
Ooh.
But, man, it was rough. But I'm trying to think. Like, I can't remember who it was that we lost to junior year. But
once again, got back to the dance, though,
hey,
right?
got back to the dance, yeah.
All right. And so, obviously, I'm building up to when y'all made that state title run, right?
Woo, yeah.
Your senior year, 2008, right?
Yep.
Talk about that whole journey. And I'm always fascinated to hear that because I think that there's a moment, whether you notice it or not, in every state championship team's run where you turn that corner. Some of them, it's evident from the beginning throughout, but then others, they sort of, it's back and forth, and then they hit stride at the right time.
Yeah,
and then they feel it. Like, when did you notice?
I think I noticed a change in us. Well, we had one transfer come in. There was a move in from Nebraska that played on my PWP team. Her name was Autumn Moses, and she came in, and we like, okay, this could be the missing piece. And I think it was finally a point to where, like, we're fed up with losing. Like, Booker T on the girls' side has not seen a championship. What can we do to make that change and spark it? And so we kind of ran with the theme that year of God's favor and just letting that kind of be our motivation. And we just kind of saw things like falling into place. One of the craziest things, though, and I have a really great relationship with her now, but me and Coach K used to butt heads like nobody's business.
Just
like,
that year?
Oh, it was the whole time.
Okay.
It was the whole time.
So
it was just something we just didn't talk about. But I mean, it was even points in times where the team, me, Talia, Christiana, Isis, Autumn, Raven, or whoever it was, we just be okay. She may call this play right here, but we feel that this is going to work. Talia's like, I see this reading you had. If you just cut back door, boom.
Yeah.
And so we went ahead and made those plays, and Coach K, she about to yell at us for being defiant, but it worked at the same time. And so then we had to come to this common ground, like, okay, we see something as well, Coach K. We're not trying to undermine you or anything like that, but you got to let us play.
Who had that conversation?
It was me, Talia, Christiana, I think Coach Potts, and Coach K.
So y'all went to
we all went.
Okay.
We all went, and we had that conversation, and something just, kind of changed.
She received it then?
Oh, yeah. She received it because it wasn't from a place of, like, we know more than you or we know what's best for the team. It's just like, if we see something, do you trust us enough to go ahead and make those adjustments in game?
Yeah.
Like, it's different than calling a timeout and then trying to go back and forth like, hey, how can we do this? What can we do better? Or at halftime. But when we had that trust and understanding, she kind of just let us go.
I would say y'all probably earned that at that point, though.
Oh, yeah,
for
sure.
Had enough skin in the game. So,
for sure.
All right. Who'd y'all have to take down first round of the state tournament, right?
Ooh, you checking my memory.
That's right. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, shoot.
But listen, if you're fuzzy on that,
I'm fuzzy.
I'll tell you about the final game. I know you remember that. I think.
Was crazy. So we played Coweta.
All right.
And what's crazy, the coaches at Coweta at the time, I work with them now with PWP. So that's Krista Bynum and Nate Bynum or whatever. And I never put two and two together of who they were until we had a further chat. And they're like, hey, you took that state championship from us. But we're playing, oh my gosh, and it's a dog fight. They orange and black, we orange and black.
No.
And something that people probably don't even know is the night before the game, our managers get with us and we all go to Walmart. And they're like, we have to make a statement for this game. We get some muscle shirts, some wife beaters, right?
Right.
We get some paint, and it says on the front of it, "Rub our ball for good luck," and on the back it says, "There's always next year." We wore those under our jerseys of the game.
Ooh.
That's how conceited, if you want to call it, confident I think that we were in taking this game down. So this game is a game that's going back and forth. You know what I mean? It's a tough game. They got this girl that was colored. I think she ended up going to OSU, Jenny Bryan.
I remember that name.
She was just strong, and I remember a point in the game where she literally took Haleigh out. Like, it looked like it was intentional. I don't know what the case was.
Right.
But it was just a dog fight. And it was just some key moments. Like, and even in that championship game, like, it wasn't a game where I was high point. It was a game where, like, my shot's not falling. What else can I do to be better for the team? So it was defensive minded. It was. I'll never forget, I got a block on a 6'2" girl that was on the backboard, jumping up there.
Straight up, or did you come from outside?
No, it was transition.
Oh, okay.
It was transition. She was cherry picking, boom. I chased her down. I had that block.
One of those.
Yeah, and then Talia just went nuts that game. She ended up being tournament MVP, and just the whole game was just nuts. Having our fans. That's when the championships were in the city.
Y'all at the Ford Center that night.
Yeah, I remember that at the Ford Center.
I mean, when y'all boys lost one controversially.
And then it was that was one thing I forgot too. It was already tough because we were watching the boys play right before us. We crying because they lost. Coach K is trying to get us together because we played right after. And so it was just tough, and just all of that it was really just bittersweet to win that one, not only to make it school history, but Coach K's first championship. And as soon as we won, we took off our jerseys and got these beaters on, and everybody's like, "What are y'all doing? Y'all look crazy." But that's stuff that you can't forget.
I'm be honest, I did my little homework, but that part I didn't know. That was the first title on the girls' side.
The first.
Historian right here, yo.
Hey, the
Good
first.
Lord. So, and then they double back and they won it the
following
year.
I don't even talk about that. I text Leah like, "Girl, come on now. This is the first. Y'all went undefeated. Come on now."
That's right. Wasn't no suspense there.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But what I want to know is, like, of course, the celebration started that day, right?
Right.
But how long did it last? You know what I mean? How better question. How much sweeter was the rest of that semester for you?
It was so much sweeter. And what's crazy is, though, to rewind that senior year, something I just thought about, I ended up signing in the fall to Wichita State, right? And so they had a news article or something like that. We did it in the library. And the reporter asked me some question, and I told them that we would win state. It's in the newspaper article, and I was just like, this is it. We're gonna take state this year. And so it was a lot of speaking stuff into fruition. It wasn't easy. It was a dogfight. Right. We had some losses that we shouldn't have had. To some tough teams. Edison was tough. That was crazy. Tournament of Champions, we never won it because, shoot, you got Tahlequah Sequoia and Angel Goodrich.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You got Lisi holding it down for Sepulpa. Like, it was nuts and it was crazy, but we prevailed, and it was amazing.
Y'all got the one that mattered.
Oh, absolutely. So
you signing so early in the school year, was that strategic, or is that's just when you felt it?
So what's crazy is a little backstory in that I had I messed up because I wasn't in the clearinghouse. I didn't take the ACT till the summer of my junior year, so going into my senior year or whatever. And so a lot of people were just falling off, like, we can't even find you, not in the clearinghouse or whatever. And that was, laziness on my part, but also, like, we just really didn't know. Like, you know what I mean? And I think even playing for PWP under Coach Lee, I think he kind of assumed all that stuff was taken care of and done. And so the coaches came out for, I think, a scrimmage that we had or something like that. The coaches at Wichita State, they came out and legit took a chance and offered me on point, like right then and there. We were at Olive Garden, I think, and offered me right there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sign early because you took a chance. So that's kind of what it was. And so that's kind of just how everything fell in.
You seem to be one. I'm gonna profile you a little bit, but just based on all your stories, and I know you a little bit, right? We go back a ways, but you seem to be pretty firm and stern on decisions that you make. So you didn't waver at all, no second guessing, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm committing right here, right now.
The only time I wavered was when I found out that the coaching staff that offered me got fired.
Yeah. That's the
And
business.
so they end up leaving, and my favorite coach ended up going to Colorado State. And so I'm like, okay, I could just, read all this right here and just go there. But I loved my visit. I loved everything about it. And the coaches coming in, the head coach, Jody, she was a national champion under Pat Summitt. You know what I mean? And she had all these accolades and really showed, what she could do and how she could move the program, because the program wasn't successful at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was kind of like on the decline. And so I was like, let me just go ahead and take a chance here. And so I did it, and I stayed 4 years.
Did you have anybody advising you going through that process, other than probably your parents, just being parents, but anybody else in the coaching world who knows this process a little more than you did at the time, or were you just flying solo?
I was flying solo. I was. I think a little bit of Coach Lee, but at the same time, I think that he felt like we kind of already had it all under control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coach Lee and Coach Rod, they were both my coaches.
Right.
But I think that they kind of left that in my dad and my mom's hands, and then we kind of just navigated it that way. Because I was just so behind. Like, I just didn't think about, I can take the ACT whenever. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? My GPA is already high here, so it's not that big of a deal. And so that's when you learn, okay, there's a sliding scale. If your GPA is here, you don't have to test that high. Or if your GPA is low, then you have to test high. And so, like, all that stuff, began to come into factor then.
Before we talk about your college hoops journey, tell me about your AAU days, yo. And I loved it. I'm partial to that experience.
Man, I love AAU.
You know what I mean? I got to see so many different cities and states that I probably otherwise wouldn't have if I wasn't playing ball.
Yeah.
Meeting people, beautiful relationships, all of that.
Absolutely.
And y'all hard too. So.
Oh my gosh, AAU was just a fun time. Yeah. I mean, that's probably one thing that I would trade in a day. Like, going back to those AAU moments where you out with your homies about to play a game. At this time, you can go up to. The games used to be on the hill at ORU.
Absolutely.
A lot. Or Champions. I know you probably remember Champions.
Way out in Bixby.
Yeah, way out in Bixby. And it's just like, man, you can go over there, drink a slushie, and then get in play. Like, you can eat 3 hot dogs, whatever you want, and then you still good.
Yeah.
But before I got with day. Yeah, all day. Before I started with PWP, I was with my dad. Yeah. And he had his team, Lady Fire.
Lady Fire.
The Fire. And it's a Fire now.
Jordan, right?
Yeah, he coached me and Jordan. But that was under Jordan was when my dad started Lady Fire, he was with Coach Jones, and they were the Saints. So that's Chris Watson. You know what I mean? Like, and it's all those guys. Kenny Sessions was hooping. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they were super cold, but we did that, and my transition to PWP happened when we ended up scrimmaging them. And if you listen to Coach Lee Taylor, he'll just say, Haleigh had to steal you from that team. You was the only one over there. And your dad wasn't doing nothing with you. And you, even though you gave us about 30, we still beat y'all by 20. And so I had to come and take you. And so, but
sounds like Lee.
It sounds just like him, don't it? But I ended up switching teams, and my dad's team kind of broke up, and he focused more on Jordan, which was really good. And then my dad was always a firm believer, like, I can take y'all to this point, but if there's someone else that has a door that can get y'all to a different avenue or a place, then go ahead. You know what I mean? He was never the type that'll, because some people now, and even being in the AU world, they holding on too tight. And it's just like, you need to probably stop coaching them. Yeah. Like, let them go and be under someone else who can take them somewhere. So,
that's key. Because
absolutely,
I think, did you ever have any moments with your dad where there was some friction to where it was like, man, I'm tired of hearing all this right now?
Oh my gosh, all the time, It was a car rides home for me. Yeah, where he be driving in the front, we in the back seat, and he's fixing that rearview mirror to look dead in our soul. It seemed like, and I'm just like, But he was always the type that would be hard. Let me know I did everything that I did wrong, but then he'll come back in my room and say, hey, I'm trying to make you better. This is the situation. Don't listen to how I say it, but listen to what I say. Yeah. And so it was always a comeback. Now, I don't know for Jordan how those conversations ended, but for me, it was always a sweet ending.
That's solid right there. I think that's one of the most selfless things a parent can do in this particular case. Like, you know what?
Absolutely.
I'm going to take the hands off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, so going into college, same question I asked you when you first coming into high school. That welcome to college moment, whether it was individual workouts or preseason conditioning, like, this is different. Which one was it?
Listen, I was an idiot, and I'm gonna tell you why. I literally was like, okay, I'm going to college. Like, they want me. What do I need to work out for? I took the wrong approach, and this is why I preach so hard to a lot of players, because I knew from experience. So I'm like, yeah, I went to the gym a couple of times. Did I train? No. I really, it got me here, my talent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Worked hard a little bit. Get there, first day is conditioning at 5 a.m.
Oh, did you go early in the summer or were you
I had
at
to go.
home?
I had to go in the summer.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
I had to go early in the summer.
There you go.
And I get there, and the coach is crazy. He played football, I think, at K-State. And our strength and conditioning coach, and he was just like, all right, on the field. So at this time, like now, which I say doesn't have a football team, but they did back in the 70s, but it was like a terrible tragedy, a plane crash.
Right.
They ended up killing a lot of the people on that plane, and so they just never recovered and made a football team. So we still kept the field, and we have a track team there as well, and we did football suicides.
Ooh.
So the 5 back,
yeah.
the 10 back, 3 times.
Ooh, back to back.
It might have been a minute break. I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
That ain't enough time.
So I'm just like, I'm literally probably at the 95-yard, and I'm start walking. The seniors is like, little girl, if you don't get over here and run like they in my face or whatever, the strength and conditioning coach is cussing me out, and I'm just like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah.
Like from day one, they knew that Haleigh did not do anything at home.
Yeah.
She came in here, thought she owned the place.
Right.
That was my welcome to college moment, going in thinking I was just straight. Like, we're going to do some basketball workouts. I'll kill those.
Yeah.
No, I never thought about the strength and conditioning part of it.
Oh.
Couldn't even, and I was a stick then. I couldn't even lift the bar. It was a hot mess.
So you started from scratch, basically.
Oh, I was starting from scratch because we lifted weights here, but it was just like, what is that? We in there dancing and listening to music in the weight room. We not.
And that ain't even no shot at the coaches at this level, because
no,
the next level is the next level for a reason.
Next level is the next level. That's why I always tell people, like, you better be working out before you get there, because it's a wake up call. It's the hardest workouts of your life. At any level I played at, college is the absolute hardest workouts I've ever had in my life.
So did it take long for you to adjust?
Oh, it took me a while, just simply because, for one, being away from home, and I wasn't too far. You know what I mean? That was just
2.5,
right under.
3
Yeah, right. Probably 3.5, something like that.
Not bad.
But it's like, okay, there's no mom and dad to say, Haleigh. Okay, and really, I thank my parents as well, especially my mom. Like, they didn't coddle us. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, okay, these are your classes that you're going to do. Now it's you get to college and it's like, okay, time management. What in the world is that? I am tired. What is this?
Yeah.
I have conditioning in the morning. After conditioning, I have tutoring. After tutoring, I have weights. After weights, I have class. After class, I have individuals. After individuals, you might be able to get something to eat. Because then we playing pickup. And then you got dinner. Then you got to study. Then you got to tutor. Mandatory study hall. And it's just like, this is life.
What time is it by now?
This is life.
Yeah.
Like, what are we even doing? And so that was, I think, the biggest adjustment. Then knowing, like, this is the level that you have to compete at all times. Like, you are grinding it out. Like, there's no off day. There's no day off. There's no, like, and even me coming in, I thought, like, I would be able to be a freshman. You know what I mean? Like, you have some freshmen, it's like, okay, you're not going to be that impactful. You know what I mean? Like, you get a chance to be a freshman. Like, no, my freshman year, I had to become that junior.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I had to become that sophomore. And so it was nuts. It was wild.
Did you have some good vets there too, like you did in high school?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had one of the seniors that I had, JC Hoyt, she's the coach at UMKC.
Mm-hmm.
So big shout out to her. And then I had Daria Frazier, Marissa, AG, like all of these, they kind of like just grabbed me and kind of took me up under their wing. You know what I mean? And held it down that way for me. But yeah, being away from home, it was only a struggle just because you get so used to being in your comfort zone of what home is for 18 years.
Yeah.
And then you go into a new situation and it's just like, did I really want to do this? And I tell people all the time, like, when you get to college, your love for the game of basketball is what sustains you. Like, that's what keeps you there. If you just like basketball, you're not going to make it because you don't want to quit. Mm-hmm. Because even when you love it, you want to quit. I wanted to quit almost every day. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to quit probably every day up until my sophomore year was over.
Now, were y'all losing your freshman year?
Absolutely.
We definitely were. So that I hear you on that.
Absolutely.
It was wearing me down to where I was like,
yeah.
I started feeling like, well, I'm forcing myself to be mad after these losses.
Absolutely.
I ain't even mad no more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even my freshman year, I didn't start starting until maybe the second half of the season. And so that was a grind in itself. And I didn't even get the offensive assignment. it was just like, Haleigh, you're gonna always guard the best player.
Yeah.
And that's your job. Like if you get a bucket here and there, really ain't no scouting report on me, so I really could do whatever I wanted because I wasn't an offensive option.
Right.
So I might sneak in with a couple of 8 points a game just simply because it was off of a steal or backdoor layup or a wide open three.
You weren't an option, but you were a threat, though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you embrace that assignment, or did you feel marginalized at that point? Like, damn, this is all I can do.
When it came to defense, I embraced it because I loved it. I absolutely loved defense. Like I was the type of player that was just like, I want to make you uncomfortable. I want to like make your life hell right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was me. I absolutely loved defense.
Was starting important to you at that time?
Only because I knew I should be there. Like if I really felt like, you know what, y'all got it. I really can't do this right now, or I'm incapable, or you're literally better than me. I will call a spade a spade. If you're better than me, then you're better than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at that point, I'm just like, nah.
I should be in the
mix. I should be, yeah.
So you found your footing then after a while.
Oh, yeah.
Tough sledding in the beginning. Now, how were you when it came to being coached? And maybe I should ask one of your coaches. Like, could you take that when they getting on to you and they digging in you? Could they talk to you like this?
Yeah.
What was the best way to get to Haleigh?
I think what was crazy is the coaches that I played under, like, kind of all molded me into the player that I came to be, like, especially in the college level. So, like, my dad, my first coach, he was a yeller, right? You get to Coach Lee, he's just very sarcastic.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? She's like, Haleigh, okay, if you want to foul out, come sit next to me. If you want to foul out, just go ahead. You know, and then you get to Coach K's back to a yeller. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then I get to college. She was going in. You know what I mean? And so it was just kind of like, I can take it all. Like, just whatever you got to say to get to me. Like when I told you earlier, like when my dad said, listen to what I'm saying and not how I'm saying it, I learned that at a young age. So it was just like, okay.
You hear the message, not the tone.
Exactly.
Now, when it comes to your peers, when y'all got to get at each other, because, like, I think a lot of people think it's got to be kumbaya all the time. Like, come on, bro. Come on, sis. We got. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's that urgent. I got to bring it to you exactly how I'm feeling it. Yeah. Could you do that, and could you be on the receiving end of that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, depending on who it was. Because if you wasn't taking care of your business, you better not talk to me.
Credibility.
You know what I mean? Like, it had to be that mutual respect. Yeah. And I think, fortunately for me, I didn't have very many instances where it was someone coming to give me correction or like demand something of me that wasn't take care of their business because they knew I wasn't going to listen. Right. And I think that was kind of the precedence that I said, like, you can't talk to me if you're not doing what you ask of me and you're not taking care of your own business. And so that's kind of just the standard that I laid the law. I think I laid that early or whatever. So I think that's just kind of what it was.
All right. You showed that, or did you have to say that? You had a PSA?
Oh, I had to say that. I had to say that. I had to say that. I know in college for sure. Because there was some people that was just slacking. I'm just like, you can't talk to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so then it in high school, you really don't have to do that because it was kind of like they kind of knew what the deal was. And it was more of a respect thing in that. But
game always recognized the game. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Funny how that works.
Absolutely.
Okay, so going through the rest of your college career, did it get any better? Or were y'all down your whole time?
Oh, my gosh. This is the thing that I hate, though. Like, we would always get into that state tournament. I mean, not the state tournament, excuse me, that conference tournament and lose like maybe semis. After I graduate, they three-peat.
Oh.
I was hot. I'm just like, y'all couldn't have my back one time for the one time.
Now one.
And then y'all just go three-peat. Like, that's just what it is. So I mean,
Lankster out of here would be all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had individual accolades. Like, I probably pride the most in being Defensive Player of the Year my senior year. That was something that I always feel like I got robbed getting second team and stuff like that. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But, we just couldn't hang on.
I understand that. But to that particular award, I'm glad that it was a perimeter player getting Defensive Player of the Year. Because I got a little beef. Even when I'm watching the pros, it seems like a lot of times they give it to the shot blockers.
Exactly.
The bigs. And I'm like, no. They're not necessarily sitting down in the stands having to cover.
Yeah. You could rotating from help side.
Yeah,
like
cleaning up somebody else's mess.
Yeah. But, yeah, I took a lot of pride in that.
Then you go be a pro.
Yeah. Well, see, before I went to be a pro, I had to take some time off because I got hurt my senior year.
How bad was it? What was it?
In the WNIT, we're playing ORU at Wichita State, and like this is probably one of the best games that I've ever played. Like I couldn't miss a shot, right? And so then the second.
Did you know that while it was happening, or this is hindsight you talking from?
This is hindsight. Like at the time, I didn't. So I think at half I had 18, and then we go into the second half, and I get a little. I think I make the first 3-pointer or something like that, and then I'm guarding the best player, Kevy Looper. Shout out to her. Like she was cold for ORU. I think she even had like some. I think they might have won some conference championships with her, and I'm guarding her through a screen. So the screen is super tight, and I'm putting my hand there to fight through the screen, and she's going off the screen this way, and the screener's coming this way, and they just snap.
Ooh.
And you just hear a big pop, right?
You hollered.
Oh, I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm on the floor, and what's funny is a lot of my teammates like, Haleigh, get up. Because they like, you're boosting right now. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just stuck right there. And as soon as I get up, like, I just can't move it. And so I end up, like, dislocating my elbow a little bit and having a slight tear in my bicep. And so that was hurtful because the next day, we end up winning that game. We're supposed to play OSU at OSU. And we get there, and I'm like, I'm going to play. This is all wrapped up. You know, I was in the hospital for, like, in that waiting room for like what seemed to be 4 hours with my parents. They came to that game, and Jordan and one of his teammates was there, and the worst pain probably was like trying to get that x-ray and them having to put my arm down, you know what I mean? And so we go to OSU, we travel up there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play. And my coach is like, Haleigh, no, you're not.
I'm not gonna do that.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna play. And so I never forget, we're going in the game, I end up starting and doing everything regular, and one of the players, Tiffany Bias. I'm a name throw that one.
Okay.
Because she moves back and is like, nah, she hurt. She not gonna shoot this three.
Oh.
And the disrespect, like
Right.
if you even had, like you've done this in coaching, like they can't shoot this back up.
Yep.
That is the most disrespectful thing that you can do to anybody. Right? And she was like, she not gonna shoot it back up. She hurt. She got hurt last game. This is in the middle of the game.
Right.
And so I had the ball here, you know, and I got this all wrapped up. And I fling that up like this.
Yeah.
It binks off the backboard, and I was like, okay, sub. Like I really can't. I can't do nothing. Sub me out. This is painful right here.
Early in the game, huh?
This was early in the first half.
Oh.
Yeah, we had half the time. Yeah, I was just like, I can't do nothing with this.
So how'd y'all pan out that game? Even
we ended up we made a comeback, but we ended up losing because they had, I can't even think of her name. She was dunking. She went to the league. I can't think of that girl's name, but she was cold. She ended up like going off.
See,
like, and it was just like a flip of exactly. Well, I wasn't. She was about 6'3". I wasn't going. Yeah, that was my post. Like y'all take care of that.
Yeah, the post got to work.
Post got to work.
Oh my.
But yeah, so I had to sit out, and so I ended up coming back here to help Coach K coach, and got on staff. So I was rehabbing and finding an agent, all in the same. We ended up taking state that year. So that was my second state championship.
This kid right here just be winning, yo.
Just winning.
Was that now? I'm guessing the fit was like a hand in the glove, right? You coming back to?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice. And what's crazy is it was weird just simply because my whole time playing here at Booker T, me and Coach K didn't have the best relationship.
Right.
You know, and I was even talking to her. I went out to her house a couple months ago, and we were just talking and reminiscing, and she was like, Haleigh, you were probably the most back-talking player that I've ever had.
Oh, you were chirping back?
I didn't think so. You know what I'm saying? She was like, yeah, Haleigh, you was probably one of the worst players as far as trash talk and just being combative. And I'm like, no, it was so-and-so. She was like, no, like you actually said things. And I was just like, oh, dang. But now like we had like the best relationship ever, and it was just crazy how they kind of came into play. I think it was my maybe sophomore or junior year in college where I wrote her a letter like thanking her for everything. Because everything, you know, Coach K she got a lot of flack for like just sticking to the basics and the fundamentals, and those things are the stuff that I needed to be successful in college, and so I'll never forget that for what she did. But yep, ended up coming back coaching, and then like literally, I want to say a couple, maybe a month after we won state, my agent hit me up and said, hey, you know, we got somewhere for you to play.
Ooh.
And so that's kind of how it happened.
Now, when you came back here, was that your goal? Like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm a coach, or were you just like in limbo and then she reached out to you?
Well, that's the thing. She reached out to me because I never wanted to be a coach.
I hear that.
I was just like, that ain't for me. Like,
yeah.
I don't. I see what you go through on the flip side of what the parents are and what they do and all the extra stuff. I'm like, nah. She's like, just try it out, be my assistant and see. And so then I ended up helping Coach Jamal West with his AAU team as well, and that's how I met, you know, couple of players, Reese Anderson and Darian Miles and Isabella Regalado. Those are all players in college right now, but I kind of groomed them and formed them back then when they was like in fifth or sixth grade.
Did you take to it early when you started coaching, even though that wasn't plan A? Did you start loving it immediately?
what I liked was the fact that these girls have a dream. Like they literally would grind so hard and run through a wall for me because they have dreams of going to that UConn. They have dreams of going to that South Carolina or Ole Miss or wherever the place may be, playing for OU. You know what I mean? And Sherry Cole at the time, it's just like, even if they're not as talented to do those things, their grind and their work ethic and how much they believe and push themselves, they'll get their school paid for somehow. And so that was what I fell in love with before coaching.
So they gave it all to you.
They gave it all. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I love that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
So then you go play.
Yeah.
Where was the first stop?
I was in Montenegro, and this was a place I'm just like, what is this? And so the agent that I got hooked up with, he's actually he wasn't even an agent. So he was just a guy that lived in the area who one of my teammates in college had introduced us. He had tried to help her get overseas, and he was just a guy that's kind of like been working with different professional teams and would just help Americans come over there, better opportunities and play. And so he was really good dude. His name is Darko. And linked up with him. He gave me the contract in Montenegro, and they were part of like the ex-Yugoslavic, when Serbia and the Ukraine or wherever the place was or whatever, they broke up. And so Montenegro came to be a little small country.
Yeah.
A part of that, and I ended up going there and playing for Budućnost.
That's a mouthful right there.
Yeah.
So how was that adjustment to life over there? You know what I mean?
Ooh. So what's crazy is, I think the biggest thing that I noticed when I was over there was, one, a lot of places that you travel to, and I was blessed and fortunate to be in a spot that, you know, the president of the team, the owner, and the country was just a nice place. I've seen several times where, you know, some people don't get paid on time. You know, it takes all day for their money to get there, and I just wasn't in those situations. And so I noticed, like, when we would travel, we went to a place, it was in Croatia. They didn't have regular toilets. It was just like a little nice hole in the ground. And I said, oh no, I must have held it till we got back. I held it for that 4-hour trip. But
that's real life right there.
I was just like, what? And then you got a little thing that you flush.
Barbaric.
I said, oh no. But like, yeah, so that, they didn't have dryers. So I was out feeling like, I was hanging my stuff on the patio. Like, okay, this is life right here, a little crispy action. You know, a little crunchy clothes, but you know,
can't put no heat on it.
You know, didn't have a microwave, but it was a nice experience. What I also noticed was that everyone, like, I don't know when this started, but in elementary, they have to learn English as a secondary language. Like you have to learn that or whatever. And so a lot of the people that were like around my age or a little bit younger, they knew it, but the older people, they didn't know English at all. And so it was just smiling, you know, and waving and them looking at the Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one thing I absolutely loved is how much they appreciate and love women's basketball.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally rock stars, superstars over there, signing autographs all the time. It was just super nice.
What was the play style difference between what's done on this side of the earth?
Yeah, the biggest thing, I was traveling the whole time. Like, you have to put the dribble down before you step.
Even one step?
Yes. So you can't, like, rip. You can't jab.
Ain't no such
you
thing as
can't
pivot
rip
then.
and go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can't rip and go. So, like, literally on fast breaks, I'm normally, like, if I'm cherry picking or whatever the case may be, they throw it in the head, I'm just taking off.
Yeah.
Travel. Or they swinging the ball real quick and I just want to rip through and go score that bucket. Walk. You got to put that dribble down first. So that was hard. Like, I would catch it and just put the dribble down, and then I had to make a move. So that taught me, like, how to make a move quick. Because when I was in high school and college, I really didn't have handles like that. Like, I got by off of a crossover and in and out. Or I would use my speed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not breaking down people. So then I had to sharpen my handles. Like, okay, I got to put the dribble down. I got to really get past somebody with my moves. And so that kind of cultivated my handles and it really elevated my game overseas.
You didn't really play East and West, though, from what I remember, at those levels, though. You know, high school and college. So I guess it makes sense now.
Yeah, so I was just like,
the deficiencies.
Exactly. But yeah, so that was probably the biggest thing.
How long were you over in Montenegro?
I was there for 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah, and then I left. I came back and helped at Booker T because it's like a 8-month contract or whatever. Okay, and so the team couldn't afford me anymore. And so I ended up going, like, they figured out, like, okay, like, Haleigh did great stuff, but now we can go and move and get 2 Americans for her price.
Gotcha.
And I also was at the point where, like, I had a really good first year overseas. And so I'm like, I can go somewhere and make some more money. And I was fortunate enough to go to Slovenia after that. And, they upped my contract. Everything was good. At this point, when I was in my first place, which was a really nice organization, we bust everywhere. Now I'm on a team where we're flying. Like, this is kind of like the
moving on up. No.
We moving on up or whatever.
I feel that.
It was really good. It was really good.
Man, I'm interested in knowing that because like it sounds like you still love it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I tell people all the time, like, you know what? I probably could go back into hooping. Man.
What got you out of it?
What got me out of it is my really like first time really serious injury besides the end of the season with my elbow and my bicep.
Mm-hmm.
I did like a fifth metatarsal injury on my foot. Mm-hmm. And I was out with a small hairline stress fracture for like 3 months.
Ooh.
So this was like kind of in the brink of the season. It was like November to whenever, and I was just like, okay, I'm noticing about myself that like I love the game, but my passion is kind of transitioning into coaching. And so at that point, I'm just like, man, I've been playing basketball for like over 20 years nonstop. Like I've never had a break because you go from AAU to school ball, back to AAU, and then when you get to college, you have no life.
None.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I've never taken a break from basketball. Right. The only break I had was to rehab myself to get ready for basketball.
That was forced. And
I'm like, I'm kind of done. And so that's just kind of what it was. I came back and Camry Anderson was like, yo, I'm coaching at Carver. Mm-hmm. Just come take a look at it. I might be going to coach at Independence JUCO.
And she did.
And so I was like, I'll come and take a look at, And so I ended up like taking over her position in the school and, being full-time with Booker T as the top assistant and then head coach at Carver and coaching with PWP. So it just came back.
Triple duty.
Double, triple duty. And I just always tell people like relationships matter because I'm going back to the places that I played at. Everybody can do that. You know what I mean? So it's so important on your reputation, the relationships that you have, going back to being blessed. Like, like you back at your stomping ground. You know what I mean? And so just having a good reputation and taking care of business while you were there really matters.
Yeah, it's a good story when you tell it, but it's
absolutely.
It doesn't happen for everybody like that.
It don't.
But, okay, so when did you end up coaching at the college level? When did you get to Fort Smith?
Crazy. So we had, this had to be 2018. Maybe 2018, Coach K retires. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And that whole time, like, I knew she was going to retire, but she was kind of, like, grooming me to take over in that head coaching position. So I'm like, okay, I could probably do this, And the cards fell where they did, and Leva ends up getting the job. And he asked me to be on staff. And so I joined his staff. We ended up winning state again. That's another ring. Another ring.
So what, you 3 in now?
3 in.
All right.
And according to Coach Fisher, me and him are the only ones that have rings as a player and a coach. I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
But I mean, I try to hold that title.
I mean, the Fish say a salute.
Hey. And so then my last year, the coach at Fort Smith, she was at TU.
Okay. Before
she got the Fort Smith job. And her name is Tari Cummings, and she ended up coaching at TU. And she ended up going to the same church, Transformation. And so I was serving at Transformation. She was up there. And then she ended up, I guess, making calls and stuff. And so she ends up getting the head coaching job at Arkansas Fort Smith. And so she calls, people that know me and was just like, hey, don't know if you want to do this, but I got a position open. I'm looking to grind it out. It's going to be year 1. I need your help. I've already hired a second assistant. I'm looking for a first assistant. So I want you to be my number 1. And so we kind of like knew each other just because she was recruiting some of my players here at Booker T and AAU. But I really didn't know her that well. And so like my whole thing in taking it was I know that coaching is okay, but I love player development. Like I love skills training. That's like me to a T. Absolutely love that. And I was like, okay, well, one of the reasons why they told me I didn't get the Booker T job was because I didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
So now
that's normal.
I'm gonna go run and get some experience real quick.
Yeah.
And then what you gonna say now? And so I'm like, you know what? I'll call her back. I was like, I'll do it. Because at this point, I'm just like, I'm gonna do it for experience.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it because they said that I couldn't get this because I didn't have any. So now I'm gonna get something. Then what you gonna say?
You can't be denied an opportunity now.
Exactly.
Because of that.
Exactly. And then I was there for 3 years, and I realized that I absolutely hated it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like,
what was so bad about it?
I just didn't like, and it's so funny because she knew I didn't like it. She was like, "Hey, just stay one more year." Mm-hmm. I didn't like the whole recruiting. Like I talk to Pitts about this all the time, Ashley. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't stand. Like I love being in the gym watching basketball games, but when you have to be there, it's a different story.
Different.
I'm there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. watching games, and then it's just like you have to go out and recruit these players, and you have to be okay with hearing no's.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, that's a whole nother situation.
That ain't
and then, like, shout out to the girls that I coached for real because they really were a good group of girls. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, do I really like telling grown women what to do? Like, you 21 years old. Like, and then at the Division II level, it was almost like they don't have dreams to go to the league. They don't have dreams to go overseas. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you in Division II, the expectations are different than Division I. And then 2 is just like more focused on I'm getting my degree.
Yeah.
Like basketball is kind of secondary. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's still like, okay, we giving out scholarships, which those are split in half at the Division II level. Like you don't even get, you know, the full 10 like a Division I would. And I had those conversations with my girl Heather. You know what I mean? It was just like, this ain't for me. This is different. Like I wanna encourage the dream. I like seeing girls and boys' eyes light up that say, you know what, I'm dogging it out. I'm in the 7th grade, but I do want to go play for Don Staley. You know what I mean? They probably ain't gonna get nowhere but to NSU. I don't know. You know what I mean? But they're dreaming so big, and they have this grind and this expectation for themselves. Right. You just don't see that at the college level. So I'm just like, I really don't care for this.
So they didn't. In other words, it sounds like a long story short. They didn't quite love it like you do.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I can't love it more than you do. There was some players who absolutely loved the game, like they were appreciative of getting that scholarship and playing or whatever. Because at the end of the day, Division II, Division I, D3, NAIA, JUCO, it's all hard. It's just a different beast at that level. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, if you don't love the game, which 9 times out of 10 at those levels, you get more that don't love it as much. Mm-hmm. People are gonna fall off. They're gonna quit. It was just, you know, I just soon realized that it wasn't for me.
What I really want to know is how tough, or maybe not tough, maybe tough's not the word, but how interesting were the interactions between you and one of the older players in that program? So if one of the oldest players is 21, 22 years old, you got to be right in the middle of your 20s at that time?
Yeah.
So y'all
near
basically...
the end of my 20s, yeah.
It ain't even 10 years between you and them. So basically, it looks like, hold up, now we the same age.
Yeah, well, the one thing I was blessed with, too, is I had a lot of respect. Like, they knew that I knew what I was talking about. Okay. And so no one, like, tried to try me, like, Coach Haleigh, like, what you talking about? You don't know what you're doing or whatever. And it was just like, no, I said this. And it's coming from a place of love. Like, I really care about you. And so, like, if you don't get your stuff together, you're going to go down this path. Like, I've been there before, or talking to the incoming freshman. I know what it's like not to work out before you're coming in here. You better get to it. You know what I mean? And so it was, I really didn't have those bad experiences or anything like that with players per se, but it was just like, I still can see it. Like y'all eyes don't light up when y'all walk in this gym. You know what I mean? And that's different.
Gotta be here. Yeah,
it's just like, what? and at the same time, it's like, I kind of get it too, because no one wants to walk into a college practice. Like that stuff is hard. Yeah. Especially like if you come from a place where you're not winning. You know what I mean? It's just kind of tough. And then you deal with the stuff, you get kids that are used to winning, right? Or, you know, a lot of times with D2s, depending on, and we weren't like the top D2s that they're out there, that they have out there, but you get the kids that like are used to winning, but they weren't the it factor on their teams. Right. And so they don't always know how to get those wins. They just always been a part of it. Yeah. And so that's always harder, trying to grow those players and teach them, like, you know what, I can't physically go out there and do it for you because you always look up to somebody to do it. And so that was kind of like the thing that I was wrestling with. But
that's got to be frustrating, especially when they got the physical tools to do it.
Absolutely.
Just up here, they ain't never had to, haven't had to exercise those muscles. Yeah, like, you can really be that dude.
Exactly.
Or that girl.
Absolutely.
So what brought you back to the crib and when?
Man, so it was crazy. So this was going into my 4th year of coaching. Right. We're out the summer. I think we're at the Heart of Texas tournament. Mm-hmm. And I see one of the coaches for PWP, and I'm like, he's not supposed to be coaching. His daughter is graduated. Like, what's he doing out here coaching? Mm-hmm. So I call him Sean Williams. Yeah. And
keep hearing that name.
He was like, yeah, I'm out here coaching. You know, situation happened. I decided to, you know, come back into coaching, even though my daughter's graduated. I'm come back on the girls' side. So I'm like, cool. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, we have a new facility, and we're building one. He's like, you heard about that, right? I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, and we're just looking for, you know, trustworthy people to come back. And I'm like, Sean, what's up?
Yeah, talk
to
me.
Like, you know? And he was like, well, what? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, what's going on? he was like, I mean, we can make that move. And I'm like, for real? And he was like, yeah, let's talk about stuff. He's like, I can get you working next week. And I'm like, hold on now. Like, I still haven't talked to my boss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was probably
quick.
one of the toughest things. So he offers me the job and position. And forever grateful for Sean. Shout out to him because he's making it happen with PWP and just, you know, creating opportunities for kids in Tulsa. But call my boss, meet in her office, and I'm just like, and she's like, you're leaving.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
She knew it. She saw it
she
on
knew
you.
it. She was like, you're going to be training, ain't you? And I'm like,
Dang.
Exactly. Player development, training, all day, every day.
So she knew that's what you love too.
She knew it. And we talked about it all the time because it was more conversations. Like, and she's still one of my closest friends now. It was more so like, Haleigh. Like, and she knew what the ticket was. Like, she could go leave and go recruit. And she's like, Haleigh, take care of the girls. I want you to train them this, that, and the third. And, you know, that's just what it is.
Done.
And so she knew that, like, training and stuff came naturally to me. And I really didn't care for coaching in that aspect. And so I told her. Ironically, 2 days later, she gets offered, because there's a change in the coach at Baylor. Right? Baylor coach goes to LSU.
Yep.
They get Nikki from the Atlanta Dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's her best friend. So as soon as that hire came, I'm like, bro, you about to go to Baylor.
You leaving.
you about to go to Baylor, right? She calls me and was like, Haleigh, I just got offered. I'm like, I know. So what do you? She's like, I still got to think about it. I'm like,
ain't nothing to think about.
Baylor, where you're recruiting at the top athletes all over the world.
Yeah.
You're a Power 5 school. Like, what?
And you're talking to her just like that.
Yes. I'm like, what are you thinking about? Well, I just don't want to leave the girls. I'm like, okay, we can have a party to leave. Like, I don't,
right.
Why is there a discussion?
We'll have a send-off.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Baylor. And I'm thinking, bro, I want some gear anyways. So we can work something out. I will rep the green, okay?
Yeah.
But she ends up taking that job, and so it works out. And so I come back here, and now I'm doing full-time training with PWP.
Mm-hmm.
I end up getting 4 teams out of it. I got 2 5th grade teams and 2 6th grade teams, and it's kind of like starting back over to where I originally did.
Now, is that just the cost of doing business, or that's something that you wanted to have both of those worlds, huh?
It's kind of the cost, because when you start training so many people, everybody kind of wants to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of like, you know, how it kind of fell into that. But yeah, so it's just like we got all these kids that we training. Everybody kind of want to hoop now and be a part of something. But you know, even Sean's heart, his heart is specifically in training. You know what I mean? We got some pretty dope trainers over there, but that's just kind of what it is.
I got 2 more things I'm gonna throw at you.
Yeah.
Because you've been dropping the game on me. So what's a regular day of yours look like?
Regular day. Get to the office about 12.
All right.
You know, about 12, and kind of doing stuff like as far as sorting out stuff with the teams, making sure everything is ready with the gym. And if you haven't been to the facility, you got to come out.
I haven't been.
It's super nice.
To see what's going on.
It's super nice. It's super dope. And then training started about like 3:30, or it really depends, because a lot of homeschool kids too that come in and get trainings at 2:30. And so I typically train from 3:30 to 8:30, like with a lot of private, you know, lessons.
Yeah.
So on the hour, you know what I mean? Then I add my team practices, and so I do that Monday through Thursday. Might get some workouts in on Friday, just kind of depending. And then we're always hosting tournaments there, so it's something there on the weekends every day. And
all ball.
Hey, all ball. But I mean, hey,
you know,
people come out that, you know, like I said before, that we do futsal. We got volleyball there. You know, PWP has, it's not just basketball anymore. So we got, you know, soccer teams, we got baseball teams, we got volleyball, and so like all these different sports. And you know, to keep that money flowing in that gym, we gotta keep it open.
I like the way she wasn't vague about it. It's to the business part. You love it though, huh?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Good. I say that not to be all super mushy, but you know, not everybody gets to do what they really love to do.
Absolutely.
Like what really gets their bacon sizzling. You know what I mean? You can do that all day, every day. You win it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I want you to dig deep into the archives, though.
Okay.
This is how we're gonna finish it, yo.
All right.
A loss that any one of your teams at any level took that you had no business. Now it ain't limited to just one. But whether it's the high school level when you playing, or your AAU experience, your college experience, your pro experience, somebody beat you that didn't have no business beating you. And if you could run it back, you go right back to that game.
Oh my gosh, I already know. It was at Booker T. It was the old field house. Great times.
Legendary.
This new field house, I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But taking it back, we played Memorial, and at this time they had Lindsey Palmer, who ended up going to Baylor.
Yep.
Her mom was the coach at Memorial at the time. They had Hillary Duncan. They had a point guard. I think her name was Abby or Amy or something like that. And this game is so intense. Like back then, like the girls' games was rocking.
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean? Like it was nuts. It was a different time. Girls' games was rocking, and then the boys is coming after. So it was just always, always hype up in there. And then we should have definitely won this game. And then the refs cheated.
Oh, they cheated.
Talia gets fouled.
Okay.
Like she has the ball. I think we're up 1. So all Talia got to do is just it's like maybe 15 seconds left.
And which year is this?
This is my junior year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Junior year. Yep. Talia has the ball. The little point guard comes up and kind of clips her because Talia, she not getting ripped, she not losing the ball or whatever. Kind of clips her and she falls. The refs don't call anything; they go score.
The ball just rolling. Damn.
And I'm just like, that's we can run that up today, right now. Like that's how intense it was. Cause it was just that was always one of our rivals.
And it was home.
It was home. It was Rob. It was on TV. The little JV Haney. Remember? Yeah. It was televised. I still might have the VHS tape.
Oh no!
It was tough. It was so tough.
Ain't it interesting how you got all these moments and accolades in this game?
Yeah.
Way more good ones than the bad ones. But the bad ones, they way up front.
Oh, they stick. They stick. They definitely stick.
Well, listen. I've exhausted my whole list of questions and conversation topics and all of that, but congratulations to you. I'm a fan. I know you personally, so I'm rooting for you always.
I appreciate that.
Glad we finally got our schedules to align so we can do this.
Yeah.
And you got one in your corner.
Hey.